Hi everyone, this is Heather Lawton from the Flourish.Academy. This is episode 404, and I received this question recently. What do you do, or what do you say when the client asks for all of the photos? This is pretty easy. No, that's what I say. No, because that's just not going to happen. So, okay, the question here is a client asking for all of the photos, or do you have an upset client that is demanding to see all of the photos? Let's start with the easier one first, which is client just wants to see all of the photos. And I try to explain to them very kindly, like, listen, you really don't want to see all of the photos. Number one, I screw up sometimes. Number two, I may have caught you in a blink or an unflattering expression, and I just want you to see yourself in the best light. So I'm going to give you the best photos. And I'll even, while I'm photographing them, I'll say, look, I just took 10 photos of the same thing. I'm going to choose the best one, and that's the one you're going to see. And for most people, they're satisfied with that answer. Yeah, absolutely, that's good enough. Every once in a while, you'll get someone that pushes a little bit harder, and they want to see more, and I just say, no. I just say no. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to let you see all of the files. I'm not going to let you see the raw images. You're going to see the final finished product because that's what you hired me for, and I'm going to make them amazing. And really, your style of photography is a combination of your photography as well as your editing. Those two combined make you who you are as an artist, and that's what I want to deliver to my clients. And so I will explain that to them as kindly as possible so that they understand. Okay, I did have a bride one time sit with me in a consultation, an inquiry. We met in my home, and she asked me for all of the raw files, and she said, I work in Photoshop, I'm familiar with it, I would like to edit the photos myself, can we get all of the raw files? And I smiled very kindly and I said, no, I don't offer that. And she said, well, we were wondering if we could get a discount because then you won't have to edit. And I very politely and professionally said, if I were to offer all of the raw photos to you without my editing, I would actually double the price because that's what it would have to take for me to feel comfortable doing that. So at the time I was charging $5,200 for a wedding. So if that bride were willing to spend $10,400 on her wedding photography, I may have considered giving her the raw files because everybody has a price. But no, for my regular rate, no, I'm not going to give you the raw files because I don't want you to see what they look like out of the camera. I want to polish them. I don't want you to have work. I want them to look beautiful, and I want them to be my style. And again, that's partly photography and partly the editing. So the answer to that is no. So several times you've heard me say in this video alone, the answer is no, it's not going to happen. But let's take a more challenging situation. Now, I've not personally had this happen, but I have worked with a handful of private mentoring clients who have had very angry clients come back to them and demand to see all of the photographs. Okay, before I get to that, I have had people say to me, hey, do you remember you took that photo of Aunt Edna? We were in the hallway right before we were announced. You took that photo. We were standing there. I didn't see that in my proofs. At which point I will say to them, that photo must not have turned out and I no longer possess it. And that is the absolute truth. I will never, ever, ever lie to a client. There is no such thing as a white lie. It is a lie. I will not lie and say, I didn't take that photo. If I took that photo, it must not have turned out, but it is gone. And the reason I can say that with honesty and confidence is because prior to delivering my photos to my clients, I permanently delete and reject all of the raw files that did not make the cut. They are gone. They're wiped off my backup system. They are gone. I have closed that. It cannot be reopened. We cannot go back and look because the minute you say, oh, you know what? I did take that. Let me go back and look. The minute you say that, she's going to think to herself, what else am I missing? And then she's going to start potentially demanding to see all of the photos. So that's really only happened to me maybe once or twice where a bride has said, hey, I didn't see a photo that I remember you taking, and I've said, I'm sorry it didn't turn out and I no longer possess it. And they're like, oh, okay, and they move on. It has never been an issue. 15 years, hundreds of weddings, never been an issue. I implore you to permanently delete your rejected files before you deliver them to the client. And then you can honestly say, I don't have any other photos. This is the entire set. Yes, I took more, but I deleted them because they did not make the cut. Okay, so let's go back to these clients that I've worked with that have had unhappy clients demanding to see all these photos. So in the 3 cases that I'm thinking of, these were wedding clients, and the bride, for whatever reason, was very unhappy. And I say for whatever reason because I worked with these photographers through these situations. I reviewed the galleries and they were beautiful. They were amazing, and I couldn't find anything lacking in the coverage. So I'm not sure. We all know there must have been something strange going on, but I don't know what. I can't possibly predict that because the coverage looked complete. The bride demanding all of the photos. Okay, if you have permanently deleted all of the rejects, there is physically nothing to give her. You don't possess them. So you could say no, and she could get upset, and that could be the end of it. Now, in a couple of these cases, there were lawyers involved. So there was this kind of underlying threat of some sort of lawsuit, small claims court over what? I don't know, because again, the coverages were all complete. But when the bride starts threatening that, photographers get nervous. And in one case, one of my clients said, yes, I have all of the raw files, delivered all of the raw files to this very upset client, and the client was not placated by that and decided that the photographer needed to edit all 3,000 raw files and deliver them. That means this photographer was editing photos that were out of focus, completely under or overexposed, that didn't make the cut, horrible photos. This photographer chose to edit these photos and deliver them because they wanted to get the bride off their back. And again, this impending lawsuit, there was a lawyer involved, and they had to do it because they possessed those raw files. Again, I implore you, if the files were rejected, you rejected them for a reason. Why in the name of Mike would you want them to see the light of day? I don't want you to see those photos. So they get rejected. Once I'm sure the coverage is complete and it's ready to go out the door, I permanently delete all of those rejected files. So if that did happen and there was a lawyer, I could say, hey, you could come look at my hard drives. You could look at everything. I don't possess those files. Part of my workflow is that they get permanently deleted. Now, many of you are going to hear this and you're not going to listen. At which point, when this happens to you and you call me crying, I'm going to say, did you watch what the heck episode are we on? 403? Did you watch that episode? Did I tell you to permanently delete those files before you deliver them? And you're going to say, oh, but I was worried, like, what if? What if? Okay, I can tell you, it's never happened to me. I have never had anyone upset and ask for all of the files. Just mention, did you take that? Yeah, it didn't turn out. It's gone. Okay, thanks. And that's the end of it. So I would be very careful about offering all of your files to the client. Listen. You are the boss of you. If you want to run your business, or if you have this as a hobby and you want to just take photos of your friends and give them the card so that they edit, you can do whatever you'd like. This is how I choose to run my business. Whatever works for you is fine. It's just that you could potentially be opening yourself up for more work if you don't have a system or process in place. Could you please leave a comment and let me know? Are you there? Are you listening? What are your thoughts? How do you approach your workflow? Are you going to listen and permanently delete those rejected files? I pray that you are. I pray, because I don't want to see you have any trouble in the future. I'll see you in the next video.